Hello everyone and welcome to the 27th weekly Turf Battles update. It's been a while since we've had an actual video update with you guys. Sorry, 1 minute. Sorry about that, my phone was ringing. So as I was saying, it's been a while since we've actually had an actual video update. I believe the last update we had was a text-based update. From when last we all provided you with some updates, we had mentioned that JetBite was working with the code to improve it. They've done a lot of work since then. I'm going to show you some of the stuff they've worked on, some of the things they've changed. A lot of it's back-end stuff, so it won't really be noticed on the client side, but it's fairly noticeable on the server side. And I'll try to just explain that as much as possible for you guys so you guys can understand why it was important. They aren't completely done. There are still some things left to do, and we'll get to that afterwards. But they are doing a really good job. I've taken a look at some of the stuff they've already changed, and it's really quite impressive. Now, mind you, with things being changed so drastically, and also with things being outsourced, of course, there's always going to be minor bugs that appear simply because they don't fully understand how something might work because they've never actually played the game. So we've been working at fixing some of those things as well as fixing some other bugs. I thought I had a bug list open. Yep. We have a huge bug list right here. We've just been collecting buffs. Bugs. So that we can get them fixed. All the greens indicate that they've been fixed. Red means they still have to be checked or confirmed. So we've been working on that. So I'll go ahead and go straight into the game and show you guys some of the things that have been done. Also, sorry if I sound different. I just recently got a new headset. I should actually sound better though, since this headset was fairly expensive. Also, I hope everyone had a really good Christmas or holidays, and they enjoyed their new year. So we'll just go ahead and log in. Oops, there we go. So, this is me on my Archer. Above here you'll see something that gets sent to us every second or so. It's saying example game event 232. This is just for debugging purposes. It's going to be removed once things are done. It's just to demonstrate the new systems, event-based systems and things like that, that most of the game's, I guess, back-end content is going to eventually be run on. So for example, monsters moving, monsters attacking, AoEs, things like that, they're all going to be switched over to this event-based system. Now, in the past, we didn't have this system. What was happening was we just had this really big, complex function that was being called every second. And this function would do a bunch of different things. It would handle pretty much everything that the game had that had to be in real time. So things like monster movement, AoEs, buffs, player updating, NPC updating, things like that were all managed by this function. Now that's okay. It wouldn't make too big of a difference if it didn't do any of the damage calculations, but thanks to AoEs and buffs, it just wasn't working out. If you guys noticed before, when players ran through monsters that were aggroable, then sometimes they can get right through the monsters without being attacked. This was because they were moving fast through the monsters, fast enough that the function didn't get run on time while the player was within range. So that's one of the goals that we have with these huge changes that we've been outsourcing. I'm not sure if that change has actually been made yet, but one of the biggest things that we've made so far is we've added timer-based events. So something like teleporting now, if you remember in old Turf Battles, it said that you'll be teleported in 3 seconds, whereas in our version it was instant. But we always intended to make it have a 3-second timer. That is now in place. So if we teleport to the crystal room, it gives us a message: 1, 2, 3, and teleport. Sorry. Another change that I made was I implemented the level restrictions for Rock Island. Players can no longer go into Rock Island if they're not within levels 160 and 200, including those values. So for example, I'm level 300 right now. I kill the Ghost Fisherman and nothing happens. So that's a relatively small change that I made as part of my bug list. Another change that we've made was we introduced the chests and in Rampo. So for example, the Lenny chests and the level 10 chests. I'm just going to go ahead and try and find those real quick so you guys can see that. Here's a stone coffin. I believe these should drop 10, 10, 10 equipment, random stats. Sorry, I'm not sure if you guys can hear the AoEs. So I just received a Grand Archery Honor Bow, and it has 3 stats: 10, 10, 10, critical hit rate, minimum attack, and opponent evasion rate decrease, all level 10. Of course, the stats are randomly generated. Here's a treasure chest. It should give, I think it's 500k Lenny. Go ahead and kill that real quick. I didn't have my inventory open, so I'll try and kill another one, but as you can see down here, it said that it dropped Lenny. Not sure where there's another one. If there's another one. Here's another one. So as you can see, we have 342,000, and now we have 842,000 here. So we did receive 500k Lenny. Again, also another thing you may have already noticed from me attacking, we have changed AoEs now so that they hit at the proper amounts, which is every half a second. Now, as I mentioned before, the reason why this wasn't possible before with the previous system was that the function was only ran every 1 second. So we were always limited to having AoE damage being calculated once every second and nothing below that. But now we have the ability to do it every 0.5 seconds or every 0.1 seconds or however often we want. So that was really a vital change that we requested. A lot of the functionality from that function has already been swapped over. The only remaining thing in that function is the buffs. Buffs are currently still managed using the previous function system. That's going to be changed as soon as everybody settles back from their holidays and things like that. So that should be good. Now again, as I previously mentioned, and with work like this, there's always going to be some bugs, some things are going to break. We've been working really hard to fix them. One of the more major bug-related issues is the buff system. It kind of just, I guess, disintegrated in itself. It's not really doing as good as it should be, simply because there's just some things that aren't happening properly. For example, right now buffs are able to stack with one another, things like that. But we're going to be fixing that relatively soon, so don't worry about that. Some other changes we've made are with NPCs. We've adjusted a lot of their rotations so that they rotated properly. Scotty worked on that the past couple of days. So if you can see, they're all rotated towards their proper directions, and he's done a really good job with that. We've also fixed some issues with monster damage. Previously, I forgot to incorporate mana barrier calculations into when a monster hits a player. So when a black mage or red mage was hit by a monster, it wasn't taken into account mana barrier. Now it is. We've also increased the damage for Scattershot to 10,000 damage at level 10, due to the fact that it was that in old turf battles we were shown some videos of that being true, so we made that change. We've also added a different set of potions to the potion merchants. I believe they were soul potions. I think they were these ones, or great soul potions. One of these. Scotty was in charge of that. So, again, there's still some things left to do. We're going to be getting those things ironed out. We're going to be completely honest with you guys. The changes that were made were a lot more than what we originally anticipated. That being said, we are going to have to pay a lot more for these changes. I'm not at liberty to give a sum amount of how much we need to spend on it, but it is a significant amount more than we anticipated. So, since it's so much, we're not going to be able to pay it all outright immediately, and JetBite has been really good with leeway in terms of payment options. So we might end up running another Indiegogo in the near future just to help pay off these bills, I guess you would call them, for the outsourced work. Now, we're not sure as to whether or not we will be running this for sure, but we still do need to plan some perks that you can win as well if we do end up running this Indiegogo. A successful Indiegogo campaign, which would mean that we raise the total funds that the Indiegogo campaign requests. If that were the case and was successful, then we would be launching into an alpha beta within 1 to 2 weeks of the Indiegogo campaign completing. But again, we're not too sure if that needs to happen or not. We're going to try and pay them off out of our own pockets, but it's all still in the air right now. So, as I previously mentioned in some previous updates, we are coming to a point where we want to give you guys an exact launch date for the alphas. With still some things left to do, we're not exactly confident that we can give you a date right now, simply because the outsourced work isn't completed. But we are confident giving you a ballpark range date. What this means is I'm going to tell you a range between one date and another date for for when the launch is going to be. And I expect probably in the next update or two, once we get back into working mode and we're finished with all these holidays we've been having, that will be able to give you an exact date. But for sure, if we do have an Indiegogo campaign, that the release will be 1 to 2 weeks after the campaign ends. But the ballpark ranges right now, it's January 4th. If we do not run into any major issues with the final changes for the outsourced work, we will be running the very first wave of alpha testing between sometime in February and early March. Early March being the latest, early February being the earliest. Sometime around that time we would be starting the betas. Now, I'm not sure if everybody already knows this, but only players that donated towards the game will be receiving alpha testing perks, which means you'll be able to access the game during the alpha. If we do run another Indiegogo campaign, we will be offering alpha beta as a perk, of course, as well as closed beta. We have yet to think of some other perk ideas, but if you guys have any ideas that you think might be worthwhile, that some people would enjoy, that as well don't unbalance the game or aren't unfair to people, then we'd definitely be able to consider those. So hopefully you guys are happy with those dates and those ranges. As you saw before, there are some bugs that we still have to work out, but they're all minor bugs, easy fixes. The biggest thing for us right now is completing the buff system so it's not using the old functionality and fixing some of the bugs related to the buff system. And that shouldn't take us too long. So that's it for this week. Hopefully next week we'll have a update for you guys and maybe an exact date. I'm not making any promises, but hopefully you're happy with sometime between February and early March. Again, I hope you all had a happy new year and good holidays. I'll see you guys next week.